Kunal, you started an organization called CalZ around a concept called opportunity zones, and opportunity zones are kind of a new label on something that's been around for a while. They were once called redevelopment zones, and I think at another time they were called promise zones, and there was probably other names for the zones. So what's different about opportunity zones from maybe the days of redevelopment in California or in the United States? What's new on this front?
Sure. Yeah. So thanks, Doug. Excited to be here, and thanks everyone for tuning in. So, quickly, opportunity zones are a new idea that's trying to attack a really old and persistent issue, which is just the gap between the haves and the have-nots, the income gap, the opportunity gap, the wealth gap between areas of the country and of California where there's a lot of access to jobs and investment, and the places that there aren't. But they are different in really important ways than some of these old programs you've heard of, like redevelopment or empower zones or enterprise zones or things like that. And the main one is that it's private capital that's at risk here. It isn't about a subsidy of government dollars. It's not a tax credit against what you might pay the government. This is at-risk private capital. This is investors putting their own money into communities, into neighborhoods that historically haven't had access to that kind of capital, at risk also for a long period of time. To really get the benefits of this program as an investor, you need to be investing for 5, 7, 10 years. So it's trying to motivate the private sector to look at communities around the state and country that historically have not been looked at, to see if there's opportunities to grow jobs and create economic development.
Right. So it's actual private capital investment in a way that's different from the kind of short-term subsidy or short-term kind of, let's say, incentives that the government had provided in the past. But it's also very patient money by design, right? So these things have some runway to develop. So this was started in 2017, I believe, and it's a tax relief or tax deferment on capital gains from previous investments, and all the accountants go, "Way, this is great." But the whole idea is we're finding a way to take money that would otherwise be applied in other areas and get it kind of focused on this. So this has been going on for a few years, and kind of in response to opportunity zones kind of getting traction, you created CalZ, and that's obviously California, and that's opportunity zones. So what's your goal, and why did you start it, and what's the idea?
Yeah, so I was really intrigued by the opportunity zone concept just personally, because I've worked in the private sector, I've worked in government, I've worked in nonprofits, and at the end of the day, it's going to take all of us working together to solve some of these issues. I mean, the issues of the economic inequality, the opportunity gaps, these are huge multi-decade issues, and you can't tax and subsidize your way to solutions. It's not just about government. You do need the private sector. And so this opportunity zone idea, where you motivate investors to put money to work in lower income communities in exchange for some tax benefits, was really interesting. And I wanted to see it work where I live, which is California. I've lived out here now for 12 years. And this is my home. And I care about all these communities up and down the state that are outside of the major metros in the Bay Area and LA that need investment. They need jobs. They need support. And I just wanted to see this program be successful. So we started CalZ, focused specifically on California and how we can help people who are interested in taking advantage of this opportunity zone incentive do so and be successful in helping people around the state.
Right. So you're helping investors better understand the opportunity or the benefits. Are you also working with the other side? Are you working with the people that are kind of promoting opportunity zones, or the businesses that could be invested in?
Yeah, I mean, there's basically 3 groups involved with opportunity zones. There's the private sector, the funds, and the investors. Then there's public agencies at the local level and the state level, and then there's communities and philanthropy and all of that. And we work with everybody, because it takes all 3 for this program to work. So we help funds and investors understand what the incentive is, see where they might be able to get some benefit, and then help them work with local governments and local communities to get projects online. And we have just a really cool range of things going on. You have a lot of people in real estate, because that's easier for people to do, sort of see 5, 7, 10-year timeframes. So, affordable housing, workforce housing, those are really popular. Commercial programs. We have somebody who just in San Bernardino is building a facility that's going to be like a mental health center in a lower income community, which is really cool. But it's also about operating businesses. You can make at-risk investments into, we have some folks working on a biomass energy plant in the Central Valley. And so they're looking for investors who could invest into that. And if they do it the correct way with opportunity zones, they could get a huge tax benefit for helping grow that industry. So it's a whole range of people that are involved.
Right. Although you've got a virtual background, you're actually sitting in our demonstration center in San Jose, and we're on kind of partial lockdown like everybody because of the coronavirus pandemic. But I can tell you that when the city of San Jose looked to put together the financing to build a demonstration center as part of a larger campus, they chose what is now an opportunity zone. So you're sitting in an opportunity zone today. And the kind of investment that went into this, tax deferments, other incentives, grants, definitely helped us build the center. I just have to wonder, what additional kind of tailwind we would have created had we had the opportunity of private investors actually becoming part of a demonstration center that was meant to produce innovations that were going to change the world. And I think it's a really important kind of layer of the capital stack for any of these kinds of real estate deals, especially in an area that needs specific attention to the social growth and to the growth of the community, right? So go ahead.
Yeah, I think all of us have probably seen this at one point or another in our lives, where there's a part of town that for year after year, there's just nothing happening. It's blighted, it's run down. Everybody wants to see it be better, especially on behalf of the people who maybe still live in the neighborhood. And this is a way to try to incentivize that to happen a little bit more. And we've probably all seen turnaround stories too. I mean, there's a lot of really amazing things happening in San Jose in particular, but around the Bay Area, around the country, where places that have historically not had a lot of opportunity, not had a lot of capital, get attention and investment, and are able to really get activated. Now, you have to do that in a way that's equitable. It can't just be where somebody from outside the neighborhood comes in, drops in a bunch of money, gets a lot of economics, and the locals aren't involved, and it may be even adversely impacted, displaced,
right.
Things like that. And so that's why we take our multi-sector approach. Like, we care about everybody. We know that it needs to make sense on a business sense, but it also has to make sense for the community. And there's a lot of poetry and prose and a lot of art and science in that. But it can happen. It can happen all around the Bay, and it just takes people working together to get it done.
Right. It's a matter of investing in and growing the businesses that are there, the housing that is there to serve the people that are there, as opposed to the gentrification model where there's a big investment, a huge transformation, and all the jobs kind of come in by helicopter and nobody else gets the opportunity. So that's why I'm personally very excited about this. Another thing, just speaking on behalf of Prospect Silicon Valley, and I really like your thoughts on this. Anytime there's a significant investment in taking an old structure, an old block, and renewing it, retrofitting it, repositioning it, not just mowing it down and putting something new and shiny in its place. There's not just the economic transformation that can happen there, but you have a chance to make that structure or that block, more sustainable, more energy efficient, in a lot of ways start to really kind of bring forward the kind of, low carbon, healthy, wellness oriented environments that we all talk about all the time. And it just seems to me that, these very targeted investments are a really great place for those kinds of things to happen.
Yeah, and I think that's partly what the public and the taxpayers are buying by giving this tax benefit. So just quickly, the benefit is you realize a capital gain today, and if you use the Opportunity Zone program, you pay no taxes now, less taxes later, and no new taxes on what you invest into. So it's a pretty significant benefit. But in exchange for getting that benefit, you need to be doing some social good and some public good, and that's where not just rehabilitating a historical structure, but bringing it up to LEED Gold, LEED Platinum, those wellness standards, thinking about tenants that are from the community or nonprofit tenants, things like that is how you create the social benefit that justifies the public sector saying, hey, you can pay a little bit less taxes and you can pay it a lot later than you would otherwise.
Right. The last few years hasn't been the, let's say, most economically explosive time, especially in the real estate area. I wonder, what's your thoughts on how well opportunity zones are really taking shape, and are they changing in response with the times?
Yeah, and I think short term, just like every other class of capital, there's a lot of uncertainty, and so people are making the best guesses they can about what to do. But this program is going to be here for a while, and it is bipartisan, which is one of the few things that we can say right now. I mean, I think the president has really played up his role in it, but it's something that has origins with both parties, and Vice President Biden has also expressed a commitment to continue it. So these are going to be here for a long time, and they have to play a role in the COVID recovery. And if opportunity zones have done nothing else, it's shined a light on a lot of communities that get ignored. We know that 60, 70, 80% of venture capital money goes to 3 or 4 metros in the entire country. Well, there's a lot of people outside of those areas, and they have never really had the chance to pitch their wares to private equity firms, to have entrepreneurs in a position to really command attention. That's what opportunity zones are doing. And we know that the economic recovery is going to come from business formation and job creation at the local level and at the community level. And so this has to be a tool, but it's not going to happen on its own. It's just a tool. A tool needs someone using that tool. And so it takes leaders from all sectors stepping up and saying, hey, I'm going to take some risk. I'm going to show some vision and courage to put this to work for the right reasons.
Right. So, I wanted to let folks know that are listening in, because I'm really grateful for what you're going to do with us in a couple of weeks. So in 2 weeks' time, Prospect Silicon Valley and CalZ are coming together, and we're also including a leading commercial architect, an impact investment advisor, as well as someone from the city of San Jose who's working on opportunity zones all day long. And in that discussion, and by the way, we're also bringing an expert in building technologies and emerging technology for building systems. And we're going to have a discussion not about, okay, what's an opportunity zone? There's 100 conversations around that, or how you become an investor, or all these things. It's going to be about what's the potential for transformation at a technology level, design level, and what is it really going to take to make a community look and feel differently as a result of this very targeted layer of investment that we hope is really going to be hitting the right spots. So I think, good. Taylor has already put out the webinar registration in this call. Please track our LinkedIn and other social media postings on this. We're also co-presenting this with the Urban Land Institute and Spur, so we're really excited about this future conversation. With that, I'm really grateful that you had this time with us. I'm glad to talk to you. Good to see your face. Hope that you are well and safe, and we're looking forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks.
Awesome. Thanks, Doug.
All right. Thank you very much.